He was in Atlanta. He was about 26 years old. So y'all listen to this and listen to this carefully. He was 26 years old. It was a guy that they wanted to kill, and he was connected to one of the, the supremacist groups. And this kid wanted to be down with them. He was 26, came with 5 years for a gun. 5 years for a gun. He was getting ready to go home in about 30 days. And they decided to kill someone. So the white supremacist group told him to go do the murder, knowing he goes home in 30 days. So could you imagine you go home in 30 days? You just did 4.5 years and you're telling your family I'll be home in 30 days. And the guys, the men that you look up to, that you embraced as your brother, as your keeper, tell you, we want you to go kill this dude because he violated our organization for whatever reason. And they're telling you, you have to go kill him. And from that peer pressure, he went and killed that man. And they dragged his body and put it under the bleachers in the gym at Atlanta USP. Now, when they dragged the body and put it on the USP, under the thing, when they did a count, a stand-up count, there wasn't no stand-up count at the time, but they did a count of all the men that was in the prison. This young man that they took his life for whatever reason wasn't added to the count. So now they had to lock the jail down and look all around the jail to find out where he was hiding because they think he might be trying to escape. Last thing on their mind was that he killed someone. That he was dead. So they searched the prison and then they look under the bleachers and they find a dead body that was stabbed up brutally by this young man that was going home in 30 days. Of course they told on him. Other inmates told on him because they was in the gym when it happened. They watched the body being dragged under the thing and all that, and they trying to get a time cut to go home to their family because they can't do their life sentences. Oh, they 5 years. So now they find him. And they lock that man up. And they charge him with murder. He goes to trial because he's a man. Because men go to trial when you're a criminal. He went to trial and he blew trial. That means he was found guilty. Got sentenced to life and sent to ADX, and that's when I met him. And me and him was in the yard. So I talk to men like this. That man is still in prison serving life when he was going home in 1995. So here it is. What is that? 20-something years later. Or, almost 30 years that he's been in jail serving life because in the feds, there is no parole on life. So from him wanting to be accepted into the gang, they sent him on what in the prison they call a torpedo mission. The same way they shoot a torpedo to go hit a ship, they send a torpedo, a human torpedo, a man to go kill another man, to go run into him and crash. And that man crashed. Now I meet him in ADX. I'm going to tell you that story later on in the future projects, but these are the type of, stories that I'm going to give you in detail. I'm just giving you a glimpse of what we're getting ready to do. This man got life in prison when he was going home in 30 days. I was trying to keep this at 30 minutes, but I'm going to give you another quick one. Another brother wound up killing a brother over a cup of coffee. He asked the guy that he hang out with every day for a cup of coffee. The man been giving him a cup of coffee, but the store's been closed, so therefore being that the store was closed, they didn't have no more coffee. So the older dude told the younger dude, man, I've been giving you coffee every day. If I keep giving you coffee at this rate, because you stay up all night painting in your cell, I'm even gonna show you a painting that this young man did with his signature on it in a future episode. But because the man denied him a cup of coffee, he went to another inmate that was just as miserable as he was and got a knife, a homemade prison shank. A shank is a knife where you make a sharp object out of whatever is around you that'll go through another man's heart. So if you want to enter this world, you know what I mean? You'll learn how to make shanks and all that. But you'll be a miserable son of a gun. You'll be a miserable son of a gun. So the brother gave him the shank, the knife. He took the shank, the knife, and went and put it in this man's neck and stabbed him one time, and he bled out. And that young man that put that knife in that older man's neck over a cup of coffee wound up getting life in prison. Wound up getting sent to ADX where I was at. Did his time at ADX and came out and they sent him back to the USP after he did the step down program. I'm going to give you these graphic stories in detail. And as you see, I know how to talk. I know how to tell my stories. And my executive producer, Sanku and Moses, they know how to bring you what need to be seen behind me to bring these stories to life so you can get the full effect of what's going on. So I get the praise for these stories. Sanku and Moses get the praises for what you see behind me. Remember that. You understand? So I'm going to tap out and I'm going to ask both Sanku and Moses right now if they have any questions for me, because they've been listening and they're 20 years old. They're babies. They wasn't even born when I got locked up. I already had 7 years in ADX. I already did my time in Lewisburg and ADX, and then they was born. And I missed their generation. And these are the babies that I'm trying to save. So that's why I'm asking you, do you have any questions about what you just heard in here tonight?
How was your life when you got out of prison?
How I was when I got out of prison?
How was your life?
How was my life when I got out of prison? My life was a culture shock. I went in jail. I had a cell phone that had a battery pack this big on my hip that had a wire coming out of it like a house phone. That was the cell phones I left behind. And I come home to this in the palm of my hand. And I'm going to give you a video on how important this is. I can run the world with this. I can run a business with this. I can transfer millions with this. And y'all just look at it as something to watch TikTok. Y'all look at this as something to watch TikTok. I look at this as the biggest money maker in the world. I get on this and I pull up my bank account and I can send money from here to there, pick up money, order things, go to YouTube, go to eBay, go wherever and spend money. Where when I left, I had to have 20,000 in my pocket when I go out. So whatever I wanted, I had to physically hand over a counter. And now I can just use my phone and swipe it. How the hell do you think my life is, man? This is a whole nother world to me. I missed all of this. But I got good brothers like Sanku and Moses that's helping me to adjust. And thank you. That was a great question. You know? What else do you have?
What's your biggest regret? Biggest ever regret?
My biggest regret was breaking the law. That's why I'm telling the youth, don't break the law. If I wouldn't have broke the law, I wouldn't have been broken away from my family for 26.5 years. That's my biggest regret. And that's why I'm telling the youth and the elders watching this, don't and stop if you're already doing it, breaking the law. Because you don't want to have to go through the things I went through. You can't imagine what go through my night when I lay my head on my pillow. I lived in rat-infested abandoned buildings selling crack cocaine in the 80s. Had to sleep with 2 pistols in my waist. Couldn't trust a female. If I went to the hotel, I had to get 2 rooms. 2 rooms. One for after we had our sexual pleasures, and the other for me to go to sleep. Because I couldn't trust her to lay on the same pillow as me. Because I didn't know if she was going to send somebody in there to kill me. So could you imagine not trusting the woman that you're making love with? I had to get 2 rooms to make love or have sex. One for the act and one for after the act. Because I couldn't trust nobody. So that falls in Moses' questions. What's my biggest regret? My biggest regret is getting involved in a life of crime and not being able to trust the same woman that touched me to make me feel good, to release my backed up desires. And for that, I'm going to tap out. 2 quick questions. We've been on here long enough. Tune in. We got another powerful episode coming. The next episode is going to get more in detail about these jail tales. Oh, and before we go, make sure you cop my book, A Roaring Harlem, based on true events. A Roaring Harlem, based on true events. If you want to know what went on in the crack era, if you want to know what my life was like that made me screwed up like I'm screwed up now, you cop this book. And I got the audio book that I did in my own voice with sound effects and everything, because my name is unique, so I do everything unique. So I made my whole new form of audio book. I didn't follow the norm, because I'm not the norm. So cop this book at roarinharlem.com. roarinharlem.com to cop the book. Remember that. And some of y'all might not understand this that I'm getting ready to say, but it needs to be said. They have what they call the Constitution. You know what I mean? And the 5th Amendment says, clear as day, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. So remember, when you get picked up, the same thing that a businessman, a legal businessman teaches child, don't say nothing until our family lawyer come and talk for you. But in the hood, we just say shut the F up. Don't mind the F word. I just wanted to give the shock value so y'all know what time it is. You can cop the merchandise, you know what I mean? At roarinharlem.com as well to get your hoodies, sweatshirts, and everything else. Remember that. I'm not promoting, by no means am I promoting breaking the law. There's no means am I promoting anti-snitching, anti-telling, or none of that. I'm just telling you what the Constitution is. When you get picked up, you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to remain silent. And this is what the lawyers and judges' kids the lawyers and judges teach their children, and I'm teaching it to you. So remember, don't forget what I said. Cop your book, A Roaring Harlem. Alright? Make sure you get this joint. It's bananas. A Roaring Harlem at roarinharlem.com. You ain't gonna find another better book. Yo, get this joint while supplies last, because I'm telling you, the best book you're gonna read, 5 stars, it's crack.